All right, guys, welcome back. We are done lesson number 9 and we are diving into lesson number 10. So if we come over here to homework, class number 2, we're going to bring up Shay How. We'll learn how to code HTML and CSS. And we are on lesson number 10, building forms. So forms are a pretty key part of websites because they allow for the users to interact with the website. But that typically is the actual lead conversion for a website, or at least one of the key lead conversions is having someone submit a form to the website owner. So forms really have taken off in the last couple of years and are a key part of most websites you see today. So building forms will be crucial to getting yourself set up with customs that are going to be used throughout your web development career moving forward. So I'm going to dive in here. I'm expecting a fairly long article, but I'm going to dive in, read through it, and then I will check back in and let you guys know what I came up with. All right, guys, I just wrapped up Shay How lesson number 10, building forms. And as expected, there was a ton of information in there. They started off from the beginning how to initialize a form. They start off how to initialize a form, and it's using the input tag, which is a self-wrapping tag. And its most common attributes are action and method. So action is where the information is going to be sent once it is submitted, and the method is the HTTP format that it's going to take. So either a get or a post typically. So for the forms, there are two different types of text fields. One is a text field and one is a text area. So a text field is meant for shorter things like name, email address, username. A text area is meant for larger chunks of text, so things like paragraphs, longer form text. So for the text and text area, if you want to put in text, you use the input element and select type as text. And for text area, you're going to use a text area element. So text area has its very own element for the setup and initialization. So there are a lot of other methods that are available other than text to set up a form. For instance, there's radio buttons. So it gives you the option to click out of a couple different options. Now, if you wanted to select more than one option, then you would go to checkboxes. Checkboxes are similar to radio buttons, but they allow you to select more than one option. So besides checkboxes and radio buttons, there's also drop-down forms, which is a list that descends once you click on it. And you're able to select one, or you can set it up so you can select multiple options on a drop-down list. Now there's also form buttons or submit buttons. So in order to submit the data that you selected, you need a button that initializes this process. So you can use the input element for a submit, but it doesn't allow you to wrap any other content. So another option is to use the button element. The button element gives you a little bit more control and allows you to wrap other content so you can control what the button says or has in terms of the text content. So there's also a couple other miscellaneous inputs that they went over. One is a hidden input. So this is if you want to drop files into an area that users can't see, but the person who made the website knows about. Or you can also have your file inputs. So when you see the option to select a file and input it, you can set that up so the users can input a file from their home computer or their cloud. At this point, they review the idea that there's two separate concepts when it comes to making a good form. There's providing the necessary elements that you need to input the data, and then there's organizing those elements in a way that allows the user to understand exactly what's being asked of them and guides them through the process in an easy, fashion that allows them to complete the form without getting frustrated and leaving the page altogether. So they bring up a couple elements that allows us to style the forms. The first is a label for the inputs. So if you have a text area or a text box, you can put a label beside it. They also bring up the idea of a field set, which groups together certain elements in the form. So if you have personal information, so you have first name, last name, address, all in one little box. And you can also set a legend for these field sets, which labels the field set itself. So if you have, for instance, name, last name, address in one field set, then the legend could say personal information. But it just separates them, labels them, and guides the user in a little bit more easily. So that wraps up lesson number 10, building forms. And as expected, this one really is important, especially for new age data input where everything is focused on conversions. A lot of the conversions you're going to want from your users is their data. So especially if you're providing a service, you want to set up an appointment with that user in order to progress the sales process, and you need a way to connect with them. So knowing what options you have, whether it be radio buttons, checkboxes, drop downs, text areas, text fields, it's good to know exactly what options are out there. So I highly recommend going through this maybe even twice, because it's very valuable information overall, and you will be using this on a regular basis. But as always, I say go through it first for a preview and get an idea of what the overall article is trying to convey in terms of all of its chunks. And that way you have an idea of all of the ideas, how they fit in together in an overarching sense before you dive in to the nitty gritty of the details itself. But that is lesson number 10, and we are now moving on to lesson number 11.